This is the 2024 Jeep Wrangler, specifically the Sahara trim level. And this is the Earl paint, which I've got to say is actually kind of neat. Now, a few things about the Sahara in behind me. It's got most available packages you can find for the 2024 model. Safety package, convenience package, trailer tow package, and a few others, including the available upgraded leather seats on the inside, which look pretty sharp. If you were unsure about the Wrangler last year because of some of the dated technology inside, you're going to love what's happening now with the 24. It got a slightly reworked interior, which looks amazing. I do want to give Pickering Jeep a huge shout out and thanks for giving me access to this thing to shoot the video for you guys today. You can find a build link for this specific Wrangler, the contact information for Pickering Jeep, as well as a few walkthrough videos down in the description of this video. One thing you're going to notice is that the Wrangler is pretty streamlined from 23 to 24. Jeep's gotten rid of a lot of the available add-on packages. They've kind of bundled a bunch of things together. They've gotten rid of a few trim levels. They've added a few trim levels on top of that. There's some pretty good options that are available inside of this thing. You're going to find a few different types of fender flares right from the factory. So whether it's going to be black or body color, going to depend on which trim level of the vehicle that you're in. And then the overall height of the fender flare is also going to depend on which packages you've added on. Because you look at that beefy XTREME 35-inch package, and you've got 35-inch rubber available, but the vehicle's going to sit higher overall too. Outside of the 35-inch tires you're going to find in the XTREME 35 pack, there are a few other key benefits. So it's going to change up the complete dynamics of the ride itself. It's going to tweak the rear axle ratio. It's going to give you a max ground clearance of 12 inches, and it's also going to give you max water fording of 34 inches. It's pretty impressive. So if your plan is to take this thing off-road on trails where you might encounter water, 34-inch max water fording before you do anything aftermarket is pretty respectable. On top of that, there is the option for factory beadlock capable wheels. Not the full system, it's beadlock capable, so you still need to get the attachments aftermarket. But if you're going to be airing your tires down, that beadlock system is amazing. So if your plan is to take this thing off-road, you might want to look at that as an option. Now, the wheels inside of this thing are going to vary depending on which model that you're in as well. But generally, you're going to find the same size, just slightly different wheel styles. So inside of the Sahara, there are two different styles that are available, both 18-inch wheels, but I gotta say, it's kind of nice. And there's like a little Jeep logo right in the middle there as well, which looks kind of sharp. You've got the option for electronic locking differentials as well for both the front and the rear. I did mention the underbody protection that you're going to find available on top of that. Now, one unique thing that is available inside of this thing too is going to be a heavy-duty full float rear axle. And that's going to transfer the weight from the axle to a spindle for strength and performance. And that's going to be available in some trim levels of the vehicle. Towards the front end though, there are a few different style bumpers that are available. So when you look at the Rubicon specifically, that's going to mean a steel bumper for the rear and for the front. So your plan is to take this thing off-road, really helpful there. Steel bash plates are available on top of that. And then one cool thing that came for the 2024 model is there's also the option for a winch right from the factory. So factory installed, and it's got capabilities to be able to pull up to 8,000 pounds. So you're going off-road, you get stuck or you need to pull somebody out, 8,000 pounds is pretty damn impressive. In some of the lower trims of the Wrangler, you're going to find halogen headlamps standard. But there is the option for the LED lighting group. But that LED lighting group is also going to be standard in some of the higher trims. So Sahara, we are looking at the LED lights that are available there. And then there's also an added package to get the front-facing camera. So, I mean, obviously, if your plan is to take this thing off-road at low speeds, you can see what's going on in front of you if you're going around bends and things like that yourself, so if you're trailing yourself. Getting underneath the hood of the Wrangler is also straightforward, so along the left side, right side, and then lifting up. This thing actually has a little safety latch on top of that. So all you're going to do, off to the side, lift up, and you've got this, the 2-liter turbocharged engine. And you're going to find a few different engine choices that are available inside of the Wrangler. So it's either going to be the 3.6-liter Pentastar, which is a 6-speed manual. You've got the 2-liter turbocharged, which is an 8-speed automatic. There's the 6.4-liter Hemi V8, which is strictly going to be available in the Rubicon 392. And then you've also got the 2-liter for the plug-in. It's pretty cool because that's going to give you 21-mile range. It's about 34-ish kilometers when you look at the 4xe version of the Wrangler. It's pretty impressive. But this 2-liter turbo is also pretty capable, like 270 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty damn impressive. But, I mean, if you're more gas-conscious, the 4xe is pretty neat because you've got an electric-only mode and a few other options that are available too. It's going to come down to a matter of preference though, but realistically, even the 4xe, you could take off-road no problem. You've got easy access to the battery, easy access to change your fluids, change your oil as well. And you want to make sure that you're at least regularly changing your oil, but also regularly maintaining this thing as well. I mean, you're spending $50,000, $80,000, $100,000 on a car. You might want to make sure that you're maintaining the manufacturer's warranty, but also getting the best possible life out of your ride. Just kind of makes sense. You're going to find the Wrangler with either 2 or 4 doors, depending on which trim level of the vehicle that you look at. The Sahara trim, you're strictly looking at a 4-door, versus you look at some of the other trims, you're going to have that 2 or 4-door option. But honestly, it's rare that I see a 2-door Jeep, but it's ultimately a matter of preference. Like, do you want more space for the cargo area and for the second row, or do you want that shorter wheelbase? Your call. But I think like 99% of Jeeps you're going to find on dealership lots are going to be the 4-door variety. Taking a peek along the driver's side door, there's the availability for the blind spot monitoring system in one of the safety packages. So that's going to highlight orange if somebody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. There's also heated side view mirrors. On the outside there, you could push if you wanted to lock the door, or just slide your hand in order to be able to unlock. But it's very basic along the doors of the Wrangler, and that's because these things are fully removable. So you could easily remove them if you want to. But I mean, the basics here, handle, side view mirror control, unlock and lock button, and then a little bit of door storage, and that's the same for the passenger side as well. On the inside, we've got a series of switches to figure out what's going on with your running lamps. I honestly always just recommend to keep it in the auto mode. And then you've got a button to turn your fog lamps on or off, adjust the brightness of the cluster screen, as well as the new multimedia screen. And then you've got the available leather seats, which look really sharp. I'll get to the comfort in a second, but just along the side, this one is power seats. So you've got 4-way lumbar support. Move the seat forwards, backwards, lift it up or lower it. And then you can also adjust your backrest there on top of that very simply. Good. I like that you've got the step here though. Nice tubular step available from the factory, or you can get a rock slider on top of that. I think these are useful. I mean, like, I'm 6 feet tall, I can easily get in, but you've got a handle if you need it. And I gotta say, the interior of this thing looks really, really sharp. And the seats inside of this thing, comfortable. This is nice. 2-way adjustable headrest. Yeah, so we can go up with the headrest. Can't go forwards or backwards with it. But still, the 2-way adjustable is still pretty solid. And there are a few different types of seats that you're going to find inside of the Wrangler. So it's either going to be a cloth seat or this leather seat available as an option. And then when you get into the Rubicon 392, it's got a new red seat for the 2024 model year, which looks pretty sharp. Oh yeah. Next up, taking a peek at the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Wrangler. I gotta say, first thing, wheel itself is really nice. I like all the little stitching highlights. Follows all the way through the wheel, it's good. Nice kind of chrome highlights that follow out through the middle of the steering wheel itself. Now the steering wheel inside of the Wrangler is going to be manual telescoping, so just by your left knee, move it in, out, up and down as necessary. Lock it back into place. Might have the option for a heated steering wheel, just depending on which model of the vehicle that you're in. So you've got your heated steering wheel button there, along the screen, and then down through the center stack buttons there as well. It's nice. It's good. Nice cheap logo right along the middle there. Stick on the left side is going to be to flash your high beams out. Along the right side is to get your rear or your front windshield wipers going. So you've got a few different options there. You're going to pull in towards you for your front wiper fluid. You're going to push away for the rear. So very straightforward. I like this though. This is really good. And one thing I like about Jeep vehicles is that just in behind the steering wheel itself, along the left side, you've got a few different options. So if we go into media, you could jump between different presets. There's a little button that you can push, Or you can also move up and down if you wanted to go between different stations as well. Along the right-hand side, you can either raise or lower your volume on top of that, or you can jump between different sources by pushing the button in the middle back there too. Very straightforward. Now, this for the control for the adaptive cruise control system. So it's very straightforward to use. All you do is turn it on first. Once you get up to speed, you're going to push up or down in order to do either increase or decrease 1 kilometer or 1 mile per hour at a time, and then set your speed. You can cancel it out if you want to, or you can hit the brake to cancel. If you come to a complete stop, you can start driving, hit resume, and then it's going to bring you right back up to your set speed again. With it on, you've also got your adaptive cruise control system. So the adaptive cruise is your set it and forget it cruise. So let's say if you set it at 100 kilometers an hour on the highway, if this is turned on and the car in front of you slows down, yours is automatically going to brake. If they change lanes, pick up speed, whatever the case may be, it's going to pick you right back up to your set speed again. And then this is a distance indicator. So you can see up along the top there. So it's essentially like how close or how far are you away from the vehicle that's in front of you. So it's kind of neat that that's available there as an option. You can kind of see as you go, it's going to disappear. Obviously, if you don't have the adaptive cruise setting turned on. Along the right-hand side, these buttons are going to be either answer or hang up on a phone call. And then you've got a voice command prompt. So you'd be able to do things like change songs, radio stations, you can adjust your climate settings, and so many other things. I honestly recommend getting used to the voice command prompt because there are so many amazing things you can do with it. And then this is going to be to control the cluster screen. So I'm just going to zoom in a teeny little bit here. Boom, there we go. So as you can see there, off to the left-hand side, you've got the tachometer, what's going on with your 2 high, 4 high, neutral, 4 low, etc. So you do have to technically be in neutral if you wanted to be able to shift any of these things out. So like moving between 2 high, 4 high, etc. Very straightforward. You've got what's currently going on with your engine temperature, your fuel level, your speedometer off to the right-hand side, what's going on with your navigation, outside temperature, and then a few other basics. So like what gear you're in, and then your current kilometers on top of that. Very straightforward. Then, I mean, obviously, no, there's nothing wrong. So actually, what happens if we open the door? Oh, there we go. So you can see there, you've got your door icon that shows up. So series of different icons that are available right along the tachometer along the left-hand side there. And then we can move up and down between different screens. So some of the screens, there are different sub-screens that you can get to. So we can see sub-screens that are available there as well. So if we start off with, let's go speedometer. You can push OK if you want to go digital speed 4 miles or kilometers per hour there. Really neat. Moving down, you've got some basic vehicle information. So you've got what's going on with your tire pressure, coolant, transmission temperature, gauges, and things like that. One really cool thing is that through the uConnect screen, you've also got the flexibility of looking at all of your gauges in a slightly different view instead. Moving down, what's going on with your off-road status. So you can see there as you rotate the wheel, 8 degrees. Really cool because you can see what's going on with your pitch and roll and things like that as well. Moving down into your driver assistance settings, so whether or not that one's turned on, yay, nay. Actually, what happens? Turn it off? Okay, it just disappears. Okay, that makes sense. And then, yeah, you can see that it's turned off there. And then what's going on with your fuel? Oh, that's kind of neat. Fuel economy, and then you can push. Oh, you have to hold OK in order to reset. So you're going to hold OK, and that's to reset it for us there. Based off of how much gas we have, what's our current range as of right now? So we can get 47 additional kilometers. And then you've got, like I said, what's going on with your total distance along the bottom. Dropping down, your trip info, so you've got your A/B counter. And that was the same thing with fuel economy. You've got 2 different counters there. And then your trip counter, trip A, trip B. And same idea, you just push and hold OK in order to reset. Your start-stop, so as of right now, start-stop's not going to work. That's essentially going to be what happens with the start-stop button that's in the center stack. So it's not always going to start for us, or stop for us, I should say. So you can see there it's toggled off, but the vehicle essentially determines if it's okay to turn the engine off or not. And that's if we come to a complete stop and you're stopped for an extended period of time. What's going on with your current audio? And then you've also got messages, screen setup. So if you hit OK, you've got the flexibility of customizing what's going on with the screen slightly. So you can adjust the upper left side, you can adjust the upper right side. You can go to your defaults, what gear you're currently in, so whether or not that one shows up, yay or nay. Your odometer, whether or not that shows up. Your menus, so what menus do you want to have showing up inside of this screen? So many options. your gear display, ooh, that's kind of cool. Single versus full. I'd probably go full if I had the 6-speed manual transmission, but ultimately your call. Nice. And then center. So you've got the flexibility of adjusting a few small things. So if you would like to customize things like a teeny little bit, you do have that available as an option. But one thing that I really like, I'm just going to search for an address that we've gone to recently. And the big reason why is because we do have the flexibility of seeing a map right through the screen.
Turn right, then, at the end of the road, turn left.
So right through the cluster screen now, you can also see what's going on with your directions. So you can see there, it's essentially turn-by-turn directions right through the screen, rather than having to look through the multimedia screen instead. So
you will arrive at your destination at 5:05 p.m.
Why, thank you. So it is really cool that you've got that available as an option. This is the new uConnect 5 screen that you're going to find inside of the Wrangler. There are technically two different options that are available. So it's either going to be this 12.3-inch without factory navigation or with factory navigation. Those are your only two options, but I love that this screen is available. It's just that obviously if yours didn't have factory nav, this screen would just look vastly different. But one nice thing is, regardless of whether yours has factory navigation or not, you can hook up Android or iPhone devices to use Google Maps, Apple Maps, or Waze on Apple devices, and then Google Maps on Android. And you can use that right through this screen. So if yours doesn't have factory nav, not a big deal. You can't easily upgrade to factory navigation afterwards either. So if you want nav, just get that option right from the factory. It's not available across the entire lineup, most of it though. But let's go through. I'm going to talk you through everything that you need to know. Starting off along the side, you've got a series of basic buttons there. That's funny, that's a slight redesign. So on the last gen screen, they used to be along the bottom. So they've just shifted along the side instead. But you've got home, media, comfort, nav, etc. This button, so you've got the option of selecting what's going on your driver's side for climate, driver's heated seat, or the steering wheel. Then there's the option for personal profiles as well, so you can set up multiple profiles. So if you've got different people driving the vehicle, you can set it up, and it's literally just add new. You're adding in a username, etc. It's going to remember your presets, any phones that you've got connected, and a number of other things. So big benefit there. I mean, this is going to give you, look at this, so many things that it remembers, all of your favorite destinations. So if you've got more than one person constantly driving this thing, you want to set up multiple profiles for everybody. You could lock it out for valet mode, and then what that's going to do is it's going to lock the screen out so people can't navigate through and look through. It is nice if you're going to be dropping it off to a valet, lending it out to someone who you don't want to use the screen, you could lock them out. Basic notifications, so if there are any available notifications, it would let you know what your outside temperature is, if you're connected to Wi-Fi or anything like that. You can drop down to see what's going on with your time, your date. You could adjust your clock setting if you want to. And then dropping this quick tray, you've got a series of other options. So you can look at your rear camera if you want to. With the front-facing camera, that would also give you that available as an option. You can also clean your camera and glass. It's kind of cool. Perfect. And then back down. Outside temperature, profiles, notifications, passenger voice. So you could have it so that it listens to the passenger instead of the driver in order to change songs, radio stations, and things like that. You can connect to Alexa or look at your device manager, which we'll get into those ones as we get into some other settings. This is what's currently playing. So this is a USB device. From there, you've got Amazon.
Your vehicle needs an internet connection to use Alexa.
Amazon Alexa, so you do need a 4G connection through a cell phone provider in order to be able to use that. But matter of preference, and then you can also adjust your passenger side on top of that. Moving back home, you've got your basic home screen. You can button press there if you want to go full screen map. Back home, you can go full screen for your media, or you can swipe across if you wanted to customize the screen. So adding in a widget, you can customize this. So if you wanted to go pitch and roll, and you wanted to have something else, so I don't know, maybe your climate settings, you can do that. So you can set this thing up so that there's multiple screens. You can select another screen as well if you wanted to. So you can add in an individual page, you can reorder them, or you can delete them as well. So it's a big benefit. If you're a bigger fan of having your own unique look, you've got the flexibility to be able to do it. Media along the very top, you can choose between sources. So FM, AM, SiriusXM, Bluetooth, USB stick with MP3s, that's available as an option. Auxiliary cable is available there. Alexa, if your phone was connected, like I said, Bluetooth would show up as an option as well. You could select you can select different things that way if you want to. And then you can also, along the right side of the steering wheel, there's a little pad there. So there's a button in the middle, and that lets you change between different sources as you go. Really, really useful. And then you can also either increase or decrease volume right on the steering wheel itself. Really, really good audio inside of this thing. I think they did a phenomenal job. This one does have the upgraded 9-speaker Alpine sound system, but you've got so many different options that are available. You can tune to a station this way if you want to. Just type in and go. A few different options as well. You could also use the voice command prompt on the steering wheel if you wanted to change songs that way instead. But I mean, you can see there, you can change songs, radio stations, you can navigate, use your phone, you can text, you can change your climate control settings on top of that.
Canceled.
So rather than going through the climate there, you could push, change your driver's side to something colder if you want to. Instead, it's really useful.
Canceled.
And honestly, I do recommend getting used to that setting. But so many different options that are available. You can see there along the bottom, all of your available presets. You can edit presets as well. So if you wanted to delete certain ones, you can also do a press and hold if you wanted to adjust your presets out as well. Saving in a preset is straightforward. So once you've tuned to whatever station you want to, all you're going to do is just press and hold. Oh, there we go. And as you can see there, oh, that's weird to shot me across, but it saved the station. That's what we want. So all you're going to do is press and hold, and it's going to save that preset for you. You can browse this way. So if you're new to an area, you're not sure what stations are available, you can move through to see what's available there. And then a series of different audio settings. So balance fade, do you want it driver focused or focused on everybody? Equalizer, I always recommend bass, crank it by like 3 or 4. Mid-range is balanced, and treble like a -2 gives you really good audio inside of this thing. Speed adjusted volume, so as you're going faster or slower, it's automatically going to raise the volume up as necessary. If you've got your aux cord connected, it can offset any sort of gain we might be getting. You can autoplay as well whenever USB devices are connected. Auto on for your radio, same idea. Recall the last station when the vehicle's turned back on again. And then you can adjust each audio setting. You can adjust each individual volume. So for your media, phone calls, navigation, and things like that. So if you don't want your navigation giving you any sort of notifications, you can just mute it out if you want, or you can crank it. So there are a ton of different options. And I love that you can customize this so damn much. Really good. One other thing, if we go to SiriusXM, you've got a few other options that are available, like specifically notifications. So if you've got an artist or a song that you love and it comes on, you can set it for the song, for the artist, etc. And then whenever that artist or that song comes on, it's going to let you know. Moving back out, you've got a series of other options. So you can subscribe if you want to. You can look at artist radio, listening history, and the big one, listener settings. So if same idea, you've got multiple people driving the vehicle, you can edit out the listener, you can block explicit content, tune to start when the vehicle's started up as well. Pretty neat, but there are so many different options that are available inside of this thing for audio. Moving into climate settings, you've got all of your climate settings down in the center there, but you do have the option of going through this instead if you wanted to adjust your climate. Like, do you want to go into your face feed, just your face, etc., turning on the driver's seat with 3 individual settings for the heated seat, semi-heated for the passenger, or you can toggle your steering wheel on or off for the heated element. Max air conditioning, air defrost, things like that. You could, adjust your climate, your fan speed that way, or you could adjust it this way. If you've got your passenger side set up to something different, you can see there that sync went away. So if we hit sync, it defaults the passenger to whatever the driver's side set up to. Auto mode means the vehicle is going to determine what's going on with your climate, easily adjust out, or you've got your circulation button. This thing does have factory navigation, factory nav, super responsive. Like, I really, really love what Jeep's done with this. I love the uConnect 5 navigation. It's great. You can change your headings, so 2D, 3D, etc. Do you want notifications, just alerts, or nothing? And then you've got a series of other options. So you can search for addresses. Adding a home or work address is beneficial because you can push the voice command prompt and you can say navigate to home, navigate to work, etc. You can look at recent destinations, favorites. You can plan out trips as well. You can look at your map or additional settings. So you can show different things. So if you wanted to show traffic, arrival time and distance, sidebars, show vehicle range, specifically if you're in the 4xe, but I mean, it is kind of nice. You can see how much gas you've got left. And then point of interest icons. Do you want to show this? Yes or no? Map view, few options. The auto zoom, the big one there is that it's automatically going to zoom in or out depending on how close you are to your destination. What do we want to look at for route? Do we want the fastest, the shortest, or the most eco-friendly route? Do you want to avoid things like toll roads, ferries, tunnels, and things like that? Do you want to reroute to faster when available, or do you want to send your destination to your phone? You obviously need to have your phone connected to the vehicle, but it is kind of cool because it could shoot your destination at the end to your phone as well. Sounds and alerts. Do you want to read out aloud when you're coming up to turns and things like that? Cameras, yay, nay. Alerts when you're speeding. When your rechargeable range is too low. Alert types. Do you want visual and sound, visual and sound, or just visual? It's a matter of preference there for what types of alerts are you getting. And then other, privacy, and then just basic about. So there are a lot of basic settings that are available here, but you're going to find some of these as you move through the different app screens there as well. But I mean, super straightforward to search for an address. You can start just typing in an address there if you want to. And it's auto complete, so you just have to give it a second. And one cool thing, so you can search for addresses this way if you want, or another big benefit is that you can also use the voice command prompt. Navigate to Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons.
So Canadian of me. Ooh, why does it have me in New York?
Could you please repeat?
I cannot, no, because I do not want to go to New York in order to get coffee. But you do have that available as an option, or you can just search for, I wonder where it's going to take me here. Oh, there we go, perfect. A little bit more realistic, it's got me in Canada now. So you could easily search one of these addresses here. You can plus or minus. There you go. So you can see there, we can push this. We can use it as a starting point, more information. You can plan a route as well. There we go. And along the side, you can see where we're going. So you've got options available there. Route overview. So this is where we're going in order to get to the route. From there, you can also see alternative routes if different routes were available. You can see your turn-by-turn directions instead. Options. Do you want to avoid certain things, avoid part of the route, change the type of route, report a speed drop? That is so cool. And then just jump into your basic settings as well. So if you wanted to avoid certain things, etc. So, I mean, it's very straightforward using this. And then in order to be able to go, you're going. So we're going to drive and it's going. And one cool thing, it does show up inside of a cluster screen as well, letting us know which way we need to turn. Amazing. And route, you can end or resume. And then because you've searched for the address before, you could look at recents and see which addresses you've recently gone to. And you could go out that way, exit out, go back through. We look at recents again. And then if you wanted to delete, boom, that's simple to do it. So I know it's pretty straightforward. I mean, you've got a lot of other options. You could search by GPS coordinates as well. So latitude, longitude, if you wanted to go that route. And then a few other things. You could look at point of interest icons, parking and restaurants and things like that. Next up, adding in a phone is straightforward. So as of right now, you can see there is no phone that's currently connected. Very straightforward to be able to connect a phone though. All you're going to do on your phone, you're going to hit yes, go to your Bluetooth settings. We're looking for uConnect. Pin numbers match up. Do we want to allow contacts and favorites to sync up? I'm going to say don't allow. Boom. We are connected. And then you've also got the option of using CarPlay if you want to. So we're going to hit use CarPlay. Okay. Okay. And we should be, there we go, connected. Up into CarPlay. There we go, look at that. So you've got your phone that's there. You can hop in there if you want to, and that's going to be your map, search, or you've got your media along the side. We can swipe it. Look at this. Beautiful. Jeep, amazing job. But like I said, you've got factory navigation, but you could also use Apple Maps if you want to. Well, I wonder. Perfect. So it's focusing on me. Oh, and you've got no pinch to zoom, but you can at least drag or, oh, can you drag? Yeah, you can drag with your finger, and then you can go plus or minus this way instead. Change your heading if you want to. Or you can also change out different options. You can search, you can look at different destinations. You can jump back into the screen here to go to another app if you want to go to Maps. Same idea, Google Maps. Ooh, nice touch, but no pinch to zoom. Same idea for zoom. We just go to the side there. But it's straightforward. You can search for addresses. Along the top there, you can also look at route options. So if you wanted to avoid highways, toll roads, and ferries, you could easily do that. Look at all of your different traffic options. Like I said, search for addresses. The one nice thing, so along the side, you've got a series of other options there. Your current time, your battery level on your phone, what's going on with your map application. So if you go into Waze, so it's whatever map application was open last, whatever audio application was open last, and whatever random application was open last. So that it's your phone, WhatsApp, Zoom, audiobooks, whatever the case may be. So you've got different options that are available. So very straightforward. You can push there. So again, in order to launch uConnect phone or jump into the device manager. So jumping into device manager, you could, if you want to disconnect CarPlay, you could just go back to your phone. So let's end our CarPlay session. So you've connected to the phone again. You can have two phones active, do not disturb mode, or you go into your settings to make it a favorite device if you've got multiple phones connected. You can enable Bluetooth audio, charge only. So if you only want to charge your phone, so if you're connected over Bluetooth, it won't actually use your phone for audio or for your phone, which is amazing. You can disconnect or delete. I'm going to leave it connected to show you what happens if you've got multiple phones connected. But that's how you set up an iPhone inside of the uConnect 5 screen in the Wrangler. Okay, next up, setting up an Android device is the exact same process. So we're just in the device manager right now. If you were on the home screen, you can get to it from a few different ways. Your phone, obviously, if you didn't have a phone connected, you can go that route. You can go all settings to get into your device manager instead. And then all you're going to do, add device, and on your phone, you're just going to scan. Let's go. Guess it helps if you hit search. Oh, there we go. uConnect. Pins match up. Do we want to use Android Auto? Yes, let's do that. I'm going to hit no for messages and contacts, but that's a matter of preference. But as you can see there, so it's connecting now. Continue. Let's use it. Boom. 3, 2, 1, and we are fully connected, and it's that simple to be able to do it. But I mean, so nice. You've got your settings there, route options, about, your Google Maps. You've got your assistant there as well. So if you wanted to search for addresses that way. One thing I didn't point out on the iPhone side, you can press and hold the voice command prompt if you want to activate either your Google or Siri assistant. Push this button along the side there to get to like a little split screen. Push it again in order to get to this other split screen instead. So you can jump into your maps, jump into your phone, weather, and things like that. Okay, on your phone, if you were to search for Android Auto, you would have the flexibility of being able to customize a few things as well. So you can see what car you're currently connected to. You can customize the launcher. But unlike in the iPhone side of things, where things were a little bit like what happens is here. So we drop thing. It doesn't automatically update the same way it does on the iPhone side of things. You actually have to get out of Android Auto and relaunch for any changes here to come into effect. But I mean, obviously, big thing here is that this is strictly Google Maps. I do have Waze installed in this phone. It's just not available as an app here as of yet. But I mean, straightforward. We can push this along the side in order to get back into Android Auto, launch into the phone, move into Device Manager. And then this is the big one. So if you've got multiple phones connected, let's say if you wanted to use one phone in order to be able to listen to your, well, in order to use it as a phone, but you wanted the other one for audio, you can do that. So you can essentially do like a mix and match for if you wanted one for phone, one for audio, etc. Obviously, the big one is that you couldn't have both Android Auto and Apple CarPlay available at the same time. It's strictly going to be one or the other. But I love that we can kind of do like a mix and match. You can have nothing available for the phone if you want. So let's say if you just didn't want your phone connected whatsoever and you strictly wanted audio on one or on both, you would have that flexibility, which is kind of cool. So I know quite a little bit, but that's how you set up Android and iPhone devices inside of the Wrangler. And then in order to delete devices, all you're going to do is move back. You're going to go to the bottom. You can delete. Yes. Same idea. Bottom, delete. Yes. I mean, 3, 2, 1. You're fully deleted and no more phones are connected to the vehicle. So it's that simple to be able to do it. Next up, moving into vehicle settings. So you've got 3 individual ones here. You're going to go into off-road pages first. And I love it because off-road pages, I mean, it launches way quicker than uConnect 4, but it also gives you the flexibility of off-road pages for most trim levels of the vehicle as well. You can see what's going on with your steering angle as you go. If your transfer case is locked, your accessory gauges, you can see exactly what's going on. Vehicle pitch and roll. If you've got front-facing camera that's available there, you can also get to it from that route as well. Moving back into your basic controls, auto-dimming rearview mirror you can turn off. I love that Jeep has this capability, and obviously if you didn't have the auto-dimming rearview, it just wouldn't be there. And then hot button press to get to your front or your rear camera. And then a boatload of different settings, so you can change out your display name. Your units, do you want to measure in miles or kilometers per hour? Miles or kilometers for your distance? How do you want to measure your tire pressure, your fuel consumption, and things like that? Different options for your profile. Safety and driving assistance. Nothing too crazy here. The big one, like emergency braking. If you're potentially going to be in a collision, the vehicle can either do nothing, it can warn you, or it can warn and actively brake. If you're taking this thing off-road, you definitely want to be there. And that's going to give you a weird little icon right in the cluster screen, but you can also be inside of any of these other modes as well. So if you wanted to just get a warning, if you wanted to get active braking there as well, it's really a matter of personal preference, what happens there as you go. So really up to you. Moving back, and then the sensitivity. Oh, actually, let's turn that back on. And then matter of preference there. Moving, a few other ones. Blind spot system. And then rear sensing system. So as you're backing up, if you have an obstacle behind you, you're going to get beeping as you go. If that beeping drives you nuts, you could go low, medium, or high, or you can also toggle it off. There's a button just down in the center there. If somebody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle, do you want nothing to happen? Do you want to get a light on your side view mirror letting you know? Or do you want to get a little light and a chime as well? And then you've got hill start and tire fill assist. Your clock, do you want to sync it with GPS? And some of these things are grayed out because you've got it automatic. But if you go manual mode, you can set the time manually if you want to. So if you want to adjust it, you can tweak out the date and a few other things, or just let the vehicle determine what everything should be. You could also go, if you want that military time instead, so the 24-hour mode. Moving out, series of other ones that are available, so enabling two phones. Do you want your phone pop-ups to display inside of your cluster screen, so when you get messages and things like that? Voice, do you want to have a male or female voice? Do you want to have a wake-up word? So rather than pushing the voice command prompt in the steering wheel, you can say...
Canceled.
You can say either, hey, uConnect, or hey, Jeep instead. You've got voice bargain, and then the big one here is the command list. So if you're unfamiliar, this is the list itself. It tells you everything that you can do inside of this. I honestly recommend keeping this on, but really getting used to what you can do inside of this, because there are so many cool ones. So the big one is being able to change your climate settings using your voice. Navigation settings, we've already seen these. You've got different options for your camera there as well. So your active guidelines are going to be these things here. So whether or not those guidelines show up or not, that one's a matter of preference. But I mean, honestly, I personally prefer the guidelines, but here or there. You've got mirrors and wipers, lights, headlight delay. So when you go to lock the vehicle, do the lamps just turn off automatically? Do they stay on for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, or 90 seconds? 30 is usually a good number there. Same idea as you're approaching with your key fob on you. Do you want the headlights to turn on? And auto high beam. So if your high beams are turned on, do you want them to automatically dim if the vehicle senses somebody's oncoming? Doors and locks. Do you want your doors to automatically lock when you drive the vehicle, when you go to drive? Automatically unlock. Obviously, we want that. Sound. So when you go to lock the vehicle, do you want nothing to happen, or do you want to get a horn when you go to lock the doors? Really useful. And then passive entry, as long as you've got the key fob on you, you don't actually have to hit the unlock button. You can just reach for the handle and it'll unlock for you. Seats and comfort. So do you want auto on comfort? Kind of cool. When you remote start the vehicle, do you want your heated seats or heated steering wheel potentially to come on automatically? Key off option. Do you want your headlights? Same idea, delay. So you can see a few of these things pop up in the same spots. And then your auxiliary switches. What do you want it tied to? Really cool. So battery or ignition. Really neat that you can kind of customize each individual one. So if you maybe want your dash cam to turn on all the time, you can have it set it's strictly for your battery, or strictly when you go to turn the ignition on. Matter of preference, but it's cool that you can select that for each individual aux switch. Audio settings, which we've already seen. Notifications. And then app drawer. Pretty neat. So many options. And then you've got a series of other apps that are available. So series of favorites. So these things are all starred out, But if you go through, you can see, you can star any of these other things out for any of these options. So do you want to star out for your navigation? Do you want to star out for your phone, for your vehicle, different system settings and things like that? One of the big benefits there is that if you've set any of these things up, go away. We go back to our favorites and so many options now. And then you just disconnect and that just removes it. So you hit the star in order to get rid of things that you've saved. So it's kind of neat. You go to all and you can add any of these other things back in. And the one thing that I love about this screen, so Jeep is now able to call it like best in class, which I think is hilarious. So obviously the big competitor to the Wrangler is the Ford Bronco. And the Bronco is going to max out at a 12-inch infotainment. So Jeep is a 12.3 inch. So they've got that like 0.3 inch difference. And that difference matters, but it's best in class. And honestly, I love the screen itself. You are going to be push button start across the entire vehicle lineup. Got a volume rocker, all of your basic climate control settings. So you've got your base settings there, or you can kind of push as you go through this way instead. So you've got a few different ways you can adjust it. It's either these hot buttons or right through the screen instead. Just what's going on with your fan speed. Do you want air conditioning going, heated seats? You can mute out. Auto start stop is the one that's potentially going to kill power to the engine if you're stopped for an extended period of time. Turn your traction control system on or off. The beeping that you get as you back up, if you've got the reverse sensing system that drives you nuts, you could toggle it off. And then on top of that, you've also got your descent control there as well. You can turn your screen off. So as bright, as beautiful as it is, if you find it's too distracting, toggle it off, push to bring it back to life again. Moving down to the 12-volt power point. All of your window controls. You've got the option of killing power to the windows. I mentioned media, so a few different options. So the auxiliary versus USB-C, USB Type-A. But I got to do a quick audio test because inside of the Wrangler, you're going to find 8-speaker standard, I should say. But there's the option for a 9-speaker premium Alpine sound system instead. And that Alpine sound system, you got to listen to it. It's just like a complete night and day difference, one over the other. It is really good. Sources, let's go USB. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to have I haven't done anything. I haven't tweaked any settings. This is right from the speaker itself.
Real high about what you want to be. Step 4. Everybody just do your thing. Wake up. Today's going to be a good day. Wake up. Today's going to be a good day.
Okay, so that's at half volume. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to tweak out the bass and the treble. So I'm going to go bass up 4, treble, let's go down 2, and let's give that another try again. Okay, hold on. I'm going to start it a little bit lower because it's going to be car shaking now.
Wake up. Today's going to be a good day. Wake up. Today's going to be a good day. Wake up. Today's going to be a good
You can like hear the car shaking as they go. It's amazing. And honestly, I didn't even get up to half volume on that one. That was up to 17. And I mean, the audio inside of this thing is really, really good inside of the upgraded Alpine. The regular, the 8-speaker is good, but the Alpine is just, you've got the subwoofer in the back. It's just pumping bass. It just sounds so damn good. I like it. I think they did a fantastic job. And I love that you can use USB audio inside of this thing, but like the 3.5mm jack even, I think that's a really, really cool option. And then there are a series of different aux switches that are available as well. And then obviously big benefit to the aux switches is that if you're wiring things up, so whether it's a dash cam or lights and things like that, you've got a few options available right from the factory. And I mean, it's built in so nicely. From here, you've got 2 individual shifters. So your main shifter with a nice little Jeep logo on it, that's going to be for your park, reverse, neutral, drive, or drop it over to go into manual mode. Very straightforward. And then your other one to go between 2 high, 4 high, neutral, or 4 low. So very straightforward, easiest. Just shift yourself into neutral, and you got to give it a bit. Like this thing, it kind of feels like it's almost stuck, but you're going to make sure you're on the brake, drop down in order to go into 4 high. And then same idea, in order to go into neutral 4 low, out to the side, drop down that way. So let's drop me down into 4 low. And then I want you to listen to this for a second. So it almost sounds like you got some crunching going on as you move between 4 low and then 4 high, etc. So nothing's actually going wrong. It's just the basics of switching between 2 high, 4 high, etc. But the more you use this, the easier it's going to be to throw. Back down into park. You've got your parking brake on top of that. This, use it as just like a little phone holder, which is kind of useful. Off to the side, a few cup holders. And then this, your little armrest there, you've got a few different options. So you've got it lockable, but then you lift it up to your first tray. You've got a second tray that you can lift up, and it's going to show you a little bit of storage space inside of that, along with an additional USB power point. Useful. But as you shift up overhead, there's the auto-dimming rearview mirror available as an option. Your control for your sunroof, which, I mean, let's do this. We have to. One touch sky roof. Beautiful. Look at this. It keeps on going. Beautiful. So single button press literally opens it up the full way, which is amazing. Passenger airbag, assist or SOS mode. Inside of the visor there, you can see you've got a garage door system. So if you've got a garage door opener at home, you can program it in. Little business card holder on the outside and on the inside. And then vanity mirror with lights built in. With this thing extending out, blocking most of the sun. Hold on, I'm going to set the seat up. I guess I should do that. Okay, there we go. So seat as far down and back as it's going to go. What's that? 5.5, 6 inches of headspace there. Pretty solid amount of space, which is great. But hold on, I got to do this. So the way that I would typically drive, there we go, like this. There's like a teeny little bit of sun that might hit my face, but I mean, obviously, if you've got the top open, it's not going to matter regardless. But I think there's one thing that's missing inside of it. It's got the option for first row heated seats, but it doesn't have the option for first row ventilated seats. So that would be my only gripe with like not necessarily wanting to upgrade to the leather seat instead. Like I love the look of the leather, but leather on like 30, 35 degrees Celsius weather, it gets a little bit hot, but the AC kicks on really quickly inside of this thing. It would just be really nice to have air-cooled front seats as well. With me being, so I'm 6 feet tall, and like with myself being set up the way that I would normally drive this thing, it's comfortable, and I've got a boatload of space, like a great amount of foot space, leg space, head space inside of this thing. And then even looking at it, so with the seat set up this way, second row, I've got a great amount of knee space, great amount of foot space, and up overhead with me sitting fully upright. Same thing as I saw in the front, like 5-ish, almost 6 inches of headspace there. So taller people, you are not going to have an issue fitting into the second row of the Wrangler whatsoever. Now the seats in the Wrangler though are fully locked in place. So you can't recline them, you can't slide them forwards and backwards. It is what it is back here. But what it is still pretty dang nice. Now with me, like I've got slightly wider shoulders, but you could fit 3 adults back here. It's just that if they're a little bit bigger, it's going to be a little bit tight. But if you've got kids, anchor points and tether points are there on top of that, which is great. And like there's not really much like feature-wise back here. You've got a few speakers up overhead, a few cup holders back here too. So you've got, 2 cup holders, which is kind of nice. A little light right along the very back and the top there as well. There are some pockets though. So that same kind of like mesh pocket is along the passenger side door. And you're going to find that behind the first row seat on the driver and on the passenger side too, which is kind of nice. And then outside of that, just behind the armrest in the first row, there are a few controls for your basic vent. So there's no actual control for how cold it is back here. So it's whatever the driver's side's set to. But you've got your 2 individual vents back here. You've got controls for the side window, for the second row windows back here. And then a boatload of USB power points. So there are 2 more USB Type-C and 2 USB Type-A back here. And then there's also a 150 watt wall plug. So your regular outlet, which as I mentioned, 150 watts. You can plug in a boatload of stuff back here. Like it's actually kind of crazy because you've got 4 USB power points back here, 2 in the front and then 1 in the armrest. It's pretty impressive. But like I said, this is really nice. It's nice. It's comfortable. Second row seats are equally as impressive as the first row. It's good. I think Jeep did a fantastic job with this vehicle. Filling up fuel inside of the Wrangler is also straightforward, so along the driver's side, and you've got a capped system with the option of doing something aftermarket for a locked system instead. So that's ultimately going to come down to a matter of preference. Are you worried about fuel theft? Yes, no, etc. There are options that are out there. But looking at fuel quality, regular 87 gas is all you need to use for the majority of the engines. So the 2-liter turbo, the 2-liter plug-in, or the 3.6-liter Pentastar. When you look at the 6.4 Hemi, that's when you're using a 91 octane. But outside of that, minimum manufacturer's recommendation, just regular 87. The back end of the Wrangler is pretty much unchanged from the 23 to the 24 model. So a few things to point out. Little tow hook along the back. When you get the safety package, you're also going to find the reverse sensing system. That sensing system's not standard across the Wrangler lineup. You have to get it in pretty much every trim level of the vehicle as an add-on package. You will always find the backup camera though, and that's a North American safety standard. And now one other thing. This one also has the available tow package you're going to find right from the factory. Big benefit, you've got your 4 and 7-pin provisions. On top of that, this thing's got a little cover for the actual receiver itself. So you still do need to get the ball joint if you are planning on towing. But if you're doing like a bike rack carrier and things like that, you can easily install it there. Looking at towing capacity inside of this thing. Inside of the 2-door, you're maxing out at 2,000 pound towing. In the 4-door, it's between 3,500 and 5,000 pound towing, just depending on how you have the rest of this thing configured. But it still is a pretty respectable towing amount that you can get inside of this thing. Now, one nice thing, there's a little button along the handle in the back there. You can see the lights going crazy because I've slid my hand. So you could unlock it this way. There's a button in the back to lock on top of that, but you can slide in order to unlock. Nice. Oh, interesting. So along the actual swing gate itself, there's a little highlight there. That's really neat. So 2-door, 4-door with all of the dimensions and even the max water fording depths. Amazing. You're always going to find the rear wiper there on top of that. And then you've got this, and it's pretty plain. There's not too much back here. Now, the features that you get back here are going to depend on which model of the vehicle that you're in. So because this one has one of the added packages, it's got the upgraded Alpine audio system, which means that you're looking at a 9-speaker system with the woofer in the back. So you've got the Alpine woofer off to the right-hand side, and nothing really off to the left. There's a 12-volt power point back there. There's a little thing that we can lift up, and that's going to give us a little bit of storage space. And then there's also another section along the side, so you can open up an individual tab, and that's going to show you your jack stand. So if you do want to change the tire yourself, if you've accidentally popped something while you're off-road, you've got the flexibility because you've got the full-size spare that's mounted on the back on top of that. But this is nice. Now folding down the second row seats, I'm 6 feet tall, so I can reach it through the back there. But if you wanted to do it from the second row, you could. There are 2 individual ones that you can lift. So the first one, you could just lower the headrest by itself if you wanted to. But there's a second one that's going to fold the headrest and then also let you lower the seat. And it's a 60-40 split. So it's a 40% on the driver's side and 60% on the passenger side. So folding down one side or the other, easy enough. But I mean, it actually opens it up quite a little bit. And it gives you quite a bit of space. And the measurements that I use inside of my videos, they're all done as if you're going from where the door is going to shut to where the armrest is in the first row. You're going to get a little bit more space plus or minus depending on how tall you are and how far you have the driver-passenger side slid forwards or backwards. And that's everything about the 2024 Jeep Wrangler, specifically the Sahara, but I hope that cleared up a few things about the other trim levels that were available as well. If you have any questions, drop down in the comment section below and let me know. You can also find the build link for this one, as well as the contact information for Pickering Jeep down in the description on top of that. But if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone if you think they might find it helpful, and until I see you next time, take care.